What is happening, everybody? Trey here, and today at Reactions to the Classics, I'm going to be counting down my top 25 albums of 2021. It seems that the year has gone by quite quick, and there was a lot of releases that I quite enjoyed this year in a wide array of styles and genres. So, man, nothing better than a good countdown list to wrap up the year. So I hope you all enjoy, as always, with any list that I make. Man, this is just my opinion. Be sure to let me know your top 25 or 10 or whatever number you want of your favorite records of the year down below. Now, how did I come up with the list? Well, first and foremost, since this is my list, it is how much I just enjoyed a particular record myself. I also give bonus points to artists and albums that really push the envelope and the boundaries of their particular genre. I also like records that play well more in the album format than just seemingly be a mishmash of singles, so to speak. So those were some of the criteria that I used here, but all in all, man, a lot of these were very, very close in their ranking. You could switch number 4 with number 8 or 9 and not have too much of a fuss from me here. I also don't put an emphasis on commercial sales, so apologies to people who like Drake, Adele, and the like, who released records that really sold a bunch this year but just didn't really quite do anything for me personally. So with that said, man, I guess it's time to get into the list. But before I do, man, I need your help real quick. We're trying to start a movement here at RTTC. If you're new to the channel, welcome. And if you are new to the channel, you're not going to know an artist that I just cannot stand who released a record this year, and that's Ed Sheeran, the dastardly Ed Sheeran. This man, we have to stop him. So please put in your comment, hashtag stop streaming Sheeran. We have to do this, man. This man he can't keep going on like this, people. I just checked Spotify, over 80 million monthly listeners, number 2 in the world. I just don't know why an artist like Ed Sheeran, who is so mid, who underperforms, and who is just stirs up such a fire and hatred within me, how he can keep going like this. So if you're with me, hit that hashtag stop streaming Sheeran. And with that out of the way, man, let's get to this list. I'll include just a little short blurb of my thoughts. I won't keep y'all here too long, and then my favorite tracks for each of these releases as well. So buckle up. Let's get to it. Number 25, we're going to South Korea here with a hardcore punk record. This was one of the most energy-producing records of the year for me. It clocks in at just around 20 minutes. It's one of those that just packs a punch, man. I love me some punk music. I don't listen to it as much these days as I did in my high school and college years, but this is a record that really impressed me. You have the hellacious vocals by lead singer Yeji. Hopefully I didn't butcher her name too much, but I thought she just brought a great fire to this. Favorites on this is How Did It Feel and Enemy. Number 24, going with a member of Boy Genius, not Julian Baker, who released a record this year. Big fan of hers. She didn't quite make the cut, but I'm going with Lucy Dacus's record Home Video right here. A great singer-songwriter album. I tend to gravitate towards strong lyricists and people that can tell stories well, and Lucy definitely did that. Triple Dog Dare, the closer, is great on this. As somebody who had experience in the Vacation Bible School realm, I also appreciated her track VBS, and man, I'm looking forward. I'm hoping that her, Julian, and old Phoebe Bridgers can come together, get another Boy Genius release sometime soon, man. Number 23, we're gonna go to one of the great hip-hop producers of all time, honestly, in my opinion. That's going to be Vadlib with his record Sound Ancestors. I really thought this was a cool concept where Vadlib touched on a lot of the different genres that he's experimented with throughout the years. Here we have everything from sampling Latin and African music to the more traditional hip-hop sampling that we're used to hearing from him, man. A lot of tracks in here, 16, but it still clocks in at around 40 minutes, man, so it's an easy listen. Great if you're just having it on the background or want to key in on some of the layers and textures on this thing. So give this one a listen for sure. My favorites are The New Normal and Road of the Lonely Ones. And at number 22, we're going to stay in the hip-hop realm with Vach-Hommy and his record Pray for Haiti. I had heard some good buzz about Mach over the years, never dove into one of his projects, and man, this one was so impressive to me. It has those mellow beats to it that really just help you key in on what Mach is saying on this record, man. It has that balance of harshness and headiness to it. At times it is quite laid back, so if that's not your cup of tea, maybe you won't be digging this project. I personally really enjoyed it, and the Haitian threads that run throughout this record are quite impressive as well. My favorites are going to be Marie and the Stellar Ray Theory. Going to number 21, we're heading back to a little singer-songwriter action with Cassandra Jenkins and her album An Overview on Phenomenal Nature. This was a compact release, 7 songs, 30 minutes, and breezes by, and she has such a sweet voice, but don't let that fool you into not really keying in on the words that she's saying, because she definitely packs a punch. Maybe no song shows that example more than Ambiguous Norway, where it shows her dealing with the grieving process of the death of David Berman, who she was supposed to tour with in 2019 before he passed away. So there's moments on that. The song Hard Drive is really great too. I love the metaphors that she employs there, and just a really strong singer-songwriter record that I think maybe it deserves a little more buzz than what it has gotten. Number 20, we're going to The Killer's Pressure Machine. This was my dad's, I think, favorite record of the year. He actually has a full track-by-track review of this up. It shows the Killers shedding away that pop rock style that they've had for much of the last decade. Brandon Flowers really gets personal on this one, and he showcases how growing up in Utah really affected him and the Mormon religion. He touches on that. We have interview splices from people that grew up around the area he did in Utah, which again kind of gives it a bit of a kind of Americana feel to it, I guess you could say. Really has that personal touch, and so man, I was impressed with the way the Killers were able to strip back this one, and had some of Brandon Flowers' best vocal performances, in my opinion. Even Phoebe Bridgers is featured on this as well. Favorites are going to be the opener West Hills. I also enjoyed Cody and Desperate Things. And at number 19, we're going to go a little collab record here with Sufjan Stevens and Angelo de Augustine here with A Beginner's Mind. This has a really cool concept behind it, because each song on this album was inspired by a movie. Sufjan and Angelo just kind of went up to a cabin, watched a bunch of films for inspiration, and man, the rest is history. You have some beautiful arrangements that work well with Sufjan's ever so soft voice right here. Some of my favorites are going to be This Is the Thing, inspired by one of the great horror movies of all time, The Thing by John Carpenter. I also liked Cimmerian Shade, which was inspired by Silence of the Lambs. Lady Macbeth in Chains was also great, and man, if you like Sufjan, this is much like a lot of his other work. I think you'll enjoy that. Number 18, we're going to go to Little Ugly Mane with his album Volcanic Bird Enemy and Then Voice Concern. Maybe doesn't roll off the tongue, but I'll tell you what, as somebody who really hadn't honed into a lot of Little Ugly Mane's work, he's quite a prolific artist that bends a lot of different genres, everything from black metal to, hip-hop. This has definitely a psychedelic feel to it from start to finish. I think the song Headboard is one of the better tracks of the year. The way that Ugly Mane was able to utilize his sampling on this as well was quite impressive, and even though many of the songs are more upbeat in nature, there's still an undercurrent of kind of depression that runs through this, and I just think that the way he was able to balance and juggle all of that in a near hour-long project without it getting stale was pretty impressive, man. My favorites were Headboard, as I mentioned, Benadryl Submarine, VPN. Next up, we got from coming off of a 12-year hiatus, we got the duo Sweet Trip with their album A Tiny House and Secret Speeches Polar Equals. Yet again, maybe doesn't flow off the tongue well, but I'll tell you what, the Sweet Trip really blend kind of indie music, electronica music with some of those more pop sensibilities, a little dream pop action in there to make a gorgeous array of sounds here. The arrangements on here are fantastic, and you just can't, it's one of those records that you just want to sit back and vibe to the entire time, man. Shout out to Valerie Cooper's very pretty vocals that again really enhance some of that dream pop type of vibe, throw you back to the 90s a little bit there. My favorites on this are Chapters and Sound. We Found Each Other. Going up to number 16, we're gonna take it back to hip-hop with Boldy, James, and The Alchemist here. They came out with actually 2 records this year. This is gonna be their Bo Jackson release right here. I think that the features on this are great. Some of my favorites in hip-hop, from Freddie Gibbs and Benny the Butcher and Earl Sweatshirt, are featured on here. And The Alchemist, man, a very, very prolific producer in the last handful of years in particular, and this year was no different, man. He's on fire with the beats right here, sampling everything drawn from kind of movie quotes to that jazzy type of beats that I just think really blend well with some of this more hardcore lyricism by Boldy James right here, as he transverses and talks about his life on the streets and his struggles in that. And so, man, really good effort by everybody involved there. Number 15 was a wonderful summertime record, at least for me. We have Japanese Breakfast and the album Jubilee, man. Japanese Breakfast just sounds so lush and warm on the 10 tracks that are within this thing, man. Most tracks feature that sound that just kind of makes you feel a little bit cozy inside, if you will, man. It doesn't have much in the way of filler. I think Be Sweet's one of the best songs of the year and my favorite Japanese Breakfast song to date. There's some notable instrumental moments as well to keep it from just kind of a one song blending into the next. I really enjoy the distorted guitar solo on Posing for Cars. That's one of my favorites, along with Posing in Bondage and, of course, Be Sweet. And at number 14, we're going to keep with the ladies, and we're going to go with Halsey's If I Can't Have Love, I Want Power. A record that's been a bit polarizing, I've seen online, man, which kind of surprises me, because I think the production on this thing, headed off by Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails fame, of course, brings a great kind of harder rock, industrial type edge at certain points, while keeping in with those synths and pianos and the guitars that just abound throughout the record, and show Halsey really kind of stretching her creative legs, so to speak, man. I really enjoyed what Halsey had to say about womanhood, about motherhood, about the joys of it, about the trials of it, and all that, balancing being an artist as well, was very impressive. From the piano-driven opener of The Tradition to the almost galloping drum beat of my favorite track, Easier Than Lying, you have something for everybody on here. Maybe longtime Halsey fans weren't feeling that as much, man, but for me, as a kind of newcomer to her music, I quite enjoyed it, and thought it was good enough to land at number 14. Number 13, we're going with one of the GOAT MCs of all time, man. We're going Nas, who shows that he still can bring it on King's Disease 2, and man, he really utilizes that classic flow that we're used to by Nas, and the wonderful lyricism that he's been able to employ throughout his career, and going over some of the more classic East Coast style beats, as well as some trap in there, some jazzy instrumentation. I really enjoy the production on this thing. You had arguably the best, I think, guest feature on a rap song this year with Lauryn Hill, man. It's always a treat to hear her. Obviously, we don't get to very much, but I thought the track Nobody is one of the great songs of the year. Also enjoyed Store Run and Moments, a great hip-hop album, man. Number 12, we're going to go with Tyler, the Creator. What an artist, man. And every release, coming from Cherry Bomb to Igor to now this, man, he's just somebody that you really got to keep your eye on in the coming years, because who knows, he might not even be in his prime right now. That's the crazy thing. Call Me If You Get Lost. Love the album cover on this. We have some tracks too that almost throw back to that darker Tyler the Creator, just a rap era. We have Hot Wind Blows, which features a great feature by Lil Wayne. One of my favorites on this is a Wilshire, where Tyler really just gets vulnerable, showcases a story about a lost love, man. It goes on for almost 10 minutes, but doesn't overstay its welcome at all. You can't help but get hyped up on them tracks like We Gonna Run It Up as well, and just a really impressive record that has a little bit of everything here, and yet it doesn't ever seem to have anything feel out of place, I guess, if you will, man. Really enjoyed this one. Hoping to see him in February when he comes through DFW, man, that's for sure. Almost to the top 10, but we're going now. Number 11, Black Country New Road, a fantastic debut record from the London-based group we have For the First Time. I know this is probably going to end up in a lot of people's top fives. A bit of a post-rock, experimental rock group, I guess you could say, man, that only has 6 songs in the 40 minutes. We start off with the instrumental, which just showcases how proficient musicians are in the group here. You have elements of even free jazz that pop up. I quite enjoyed the track Science Fair. Athens, France is a really strong track. X is a little shorter and to the point, and yet showcases the ability of BCNR to really just get to the point, even if they don't go for the longer instrumental sections, man. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what these guys do in the future. This is a great foot forward, and an album that I think if you're into seeing rock push to its limits a little bit, that you should definitely check out. But now we're getting to our top 10, ladies and gentlemen. Rarefied air, right? Number 10, we got Silk Sonic, who just, man, we're building that anticipation all year, and I'm so glad that they dropped as we get an evening with Silk Sonic. Of course, the silky smooth vocals of Bruno Mars are apparent on this, with the awesome Anderson .Paak as well here. I'm glad that he's getting his due maybe in the mainstream a little bit more. I've been a fan of his for a couple of years now, and really thought that he absolutely crushed it. And I mean, this has a very versatile album as well. It breezes by at 30 minutes, kind of throws back to that 70s smooth soul sound. So you can play this when you're just vibing, playing it when you're having a party, playing it whenever maybe you and your significant other are trying to get down, if you know what I mean, man. And I just really enjoyed this record. One of those releases that was hyped up and lived up to the hype in my expectation, in my estimation rather. My favorites are Leave the Door Open, After Last Night, which features Thundercat, and Smoking Out the Window. Now to number 9, we're heading back to the UK with Squid's Bright Green Field. Lead vocalist, who's also the drummer, Ollie Judge, just has a voice that's tailor-made for this kind of art punk, post-punk vibe that Squid have going on their debut right here. And man, really, yet again, just like Black Country New Road, quite looking forward to what these guys do here in the future. I think the song Narrator, that's on my short list for one of the songs of the year, especially once the yelling kind of, it kind of starts off a little bit slower, building up, and then towards the end it just all hell breaks loose, so to speak. And there's just an undercurrent of anxiety that kind of runs throughout these songs as well, that's kind of tough to put into words, but when you listen to it, I think you'll know what I'm talking about. So also enjoyed the track Documentary Filmmaker, Paddling, and 2010. Don't sleep on that track either, my friends. Number 8, we're going to the synth pop action. We're gonna go into another debut. As I'm going through this, I'm like, yeah, a lot of these are debuts here. We got Magdalena Bay with Mercurial World, and this is a duo from Miami, Florida, and I really wasn't aware of their stuff until this album in particular started getting buzz, and they are definitely on my radar right now. There's so many great pop songs on here that utilize those the synths, the drum loops so well, and sound effects to boot. Man, they just wash over you in a beautifully lush manner, and I think it's perfect for any nighttime playlist, any party playlist. Man, throw this on. I don't think it matters what type of music you like, you'll be digging this one. My favorites are Cherie, You Lose, and The Beginning. Number 7, going to one of my favorite rappers in the game, man, and talking about pushing boundaries, JPEG Mafia LP, man. This was released in 2 different versions. He put it up on YouTube as the offline version because there were a few tracks that couldn't get cleared for sampling purposes, which is a shame because Hazard Duty Pay is my song of the year, man, and that's not on Spotify or anything because the sample couldn't get cleared. But what a great track that is. And Peggy here, he not only does all the rapping, he is making all the beats, mixing, producing, all that good stuff, man. One-man show, a creative force. All My Heroes Are Cornballs was a great release. Veteran is fantastic. That was released a few years back as well, and he really just showcases how creative he is, pushing the boundaries of rap, and the soundscapes themselves would work great as an instrumental record, but then you add on his bars to boot, man. Just a fantastic LP, one that I'll be revisiting for sure, man. My favorites are, of course, Hazard Duty Paid, Tired, Nervous, and Broke, Dikembe and Are You Happy? Number 6 on the list has us heading to Australia with the great Genesis Owusu and his debut record. See, man, debut yet again. Smiling with No Teeth. This has been on, on my radar since it was an early release of the year for a while, and man, it was able to hold its own, get into my top 10, and I'm just so impressed with this. He's only 22 years old at the time that this released. He's an artist that I'm definitely keeping my eye on, and you should too, as he blends not only rap but a little bit of soul, a little bit of R&B elements, some rocking elements. The way that he's able to do that and bring it all together just made this awesome listening experience. Never got boring, man. Also got a healthy dose of synths on here to kind of keep it fresh as well. For a debut album, it's just so impressive to me how he's able to blend so many types of genres without it all having it crumble down, so to speak, in lesser hands that would have blown up in their face, so to speak, but not for Genesis, man. He does all this while displaying a maturity and a feel for the craft that artists twice his age would, I think, be jealous of, man. A lot of dark moments throughout this. Again, Genesis is an artist who kind of wears his heart on the sleeve, and I appreciate that, man. But there are uplifting songs like No Looking Back, which is one of my favorites. It's so, Genesis trying to, rise up through the trials that life brings, so to speak, man. My favorites: Don't Need You, Gold Chains, No Looking Back, and Drown. And now we're going to our top 5, ladies and gentlemen. What do you got? What do you got? Number 5 for me, the most polarizing album of the year, and one I did a full track-by-track review of, so I'm not going to talk about it a ton here, but it's going to be Kanye West's Donda album. I don't think it's a stretch to say it was at least the most memorable album rollout of the year, with the 3 different stadium listening parties. Definitely for Kanye fans like myself, a stressful and impressive time seeing, okay, you're telling me what? He's literally living in a stadium right now, finishing this up. Can you free Mike Dean? Yeah, come on. But man, I know this thing has a couple filler tracks on it. I'm not going to deny that, but I think the highs here are worthy enough for it to be in my top 5, and Kanye is my favorite artist of all time, man, so you knew it was going to be high up on my list. Jesus Lord and Heaven and Hell, I think 24 is a slept on track as well. Jail, Off the Grid, Come to Life works so beautifully as well, one of the better Kanye tracks I think we've heard in years. I'll be curious as the years go on to see how people reevaluate this one. And number 4, we're heading yet again back to the UK here with a little, experimental rock, a little prog rock conglomeration from Black Midi, their second record with Cavalcade here, probably the coolest album cover of the year as well, and one that it sounds kind of like it looks on the cover, if that makes sense, even though it looks quite wild and trippy and you don't know quite what's going on. Well, that kind of happens in this record right here, man. Again, we have some almost free jazz type of breakdowns mixed with the prog rock like rhythms. Some of the best drumming of the year is on this record, so shout out to Morgan Simpson. I thought he just crushed this entire LP, man. So the fusion of, again, these different types of genres and pushing the boundaries of rock is just so impressive. Slow, one of the better tracks of the year, and it just hits you like a ton of bricks, man. The first moments on the opener, John L, like that'll you listen to that song and you know what you're in for on this record. Definitely got to see these guys live. I know they put on some legendary live shows. Hopefully they'll make their way to Texas at some point, man. My favorites are Slow, John L, and Dethroned. Top 3, ladies and gentlemen. What do we got? What do we got? Well, we're gonna keep with a little bit of experimental action, but switch from rock to hip hop as we go to Injury Reserve's second release. By the time I get to Phoenix, you just look at this cover, it's a bit dark, a bit ominous, and the lyrical content kind of highlights and backs that up, so to speak. Injury Reserve had one of their members pass away, unfortunately, man. R.I.P. Steppa Groggs on this, and that is evident in the closer, where they just expertly sample Brian Eno's Here Come the Warm Jets on the song By Storm. I thought that was one of the more powerful tracks of the year. Knees, which comes right before that, is probably my top 10 songs of the year as well, where you almost get a nostalgic sense of growing up, and then now when you're, an adult and older and life's really hitting you and you realize that, I don't think I'm growing no more. This is what it is. Just awesome. Superman, that is another one of my favorites, and you can't help but have your heart stirred up when you hear the "Ain't No Saving Me" refrain that comes throughout there. Just one of the best, I think, produced records of the year. Really enjoy the sampling, the glitchiness of some of the production, and the rapping to boot is really strong and powerful as well, and kind of gets to the heart of that grief and depression that I think the band was feeling at this time, man. So shout out to Injury Reserve at number 3. Now up to number 2 on my list, which would have been number 1 in most years, man. I just love this release so much. The best, rap album of the year, in my opinion, in a year that was pretty loaded when you're talking about rap. But I'm going Little Simz, taking it back to Britain, man. Britain really showing out on the rap scene here in these last few years. With Sometimes I Might Be Introvert, I think it's in the running for best produced record of the year. Definitely has a sense of cinematic quality, or some theatricality to it. A lot of different interludes in here as well, and it really does exemplify the kind of full album listening experience. You have Little Simz on here talking about everything from, of course, her introvertedness and just how that affects her as an artist that's gaining popularity. The way that Little Simz just seems so effortless whenever she's rapping, and she delivers bars that make you think, that impress you, that I like certain songs on here. She doesn't do it a lot, where she really kind of tells everybody how it is, like, hey, I am one of, if not the best MC going today, male, female, it doesn't even matter. The way she's able to juggle that with topics of womanhood, she also touches on her strained relationship with her father in here as well, and it just there's a lot of topics juggled here, but she never fumbles it, and I just really was impressed with how just easy on the ears a lot of these beats were as well. So shout out to Little Simz for bringing this, and everybody that helped on the production of this. My favorites: Introvert, I Love You, I Hate You, and Woman, among many others. But ladies and gentlemen, it was just a little bit below my number 1, man, which just blew me away. One of the more powerful listening experience I've had, not only in 2021, but in general. The great Christian hater, going by Lingua Ignota as her stage name, man. Sinner, get ready. Whew, what a powerful, dark, listening experience this was. What a raw listening experience, man. Ignota really is so talented at being able to bring forth these heavy emotions that is coming from her heart, from her soul, man, and be able to spell that out to us as the listener. It's a tough thing to do, I could imagine, man, but she does it in a expert way right here, and man, she tackles those fears she has, those doubts, the beliefs and the loneliness kind of in relation to God, in relation to what has happened to her in the past couple of years, man. I would encourage you to kind of dig into her story a little bit. It's heartbreaking, and I'm glad to see that she was able, from that pain, to rise up and make an album that is just going to be among the best of the decade, in my estimation, man. And I hope that it's helped her recover in whatever ways that she's wanted to from this record, man. And I hope she finds peace through that. It musically falls a bit on the more minimalist side of the spectrum here. You have dark drones that are sometimes contrasted with harsh piano, and those are always being constants to her impassioned vocal delivery. It's going to hit you different, I think, if you grew up in a religious context, and even more so if you've wrestled with some fallen religious institutions. I happen to fit in in both of those categories, so it hit especially hard for me, man. And I just connected to the powerfully penned lyrics that she had. It's one of those records that makes all the albums you listen to throughout the year worth it, because you're going for an album like this, man. And it's not going to be for everybody probably, but man, it was for me. It was after first listen, I was like, yeah, this is my album of the year. This is the clear top spot, and it's a masterpiece in my estimation. Shout out to Kristen Hayter, man. I wish her the best, and I'll definitely be keeping my eye out for what she has next. And my favorites on this: The Order of Spiritual Virgins, Pennsylvania Furnace, and Perpetual Flame of Centralia. Man, that does it, ladies and gentlemen. My top 25 albums of the year. As I said, be sure to let me know some of your favorites of the year. I think it was quite a loaded year musically, man, in a lot of different genres. As I said at the start, maybe not for some of the bigger time releases. There were a few artists that I was looking forward to that released albums that maybe didn't hit me quite as much, but then there were all these records that maybe weren't possibly on my radar coming into the year that really blew me away, man. So thank you for stopping by, for checking out this video. If you liked it, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit that big red subscribe button, and let me know what you're looking forward to in 2022. Maybe say a prayer that Kendrick Lamar drops something. We've been waiting, we've been starving out here, Kendrick, come on, man. But I'm looking forward hopefully to that in 2022 among many others. But until next time, y'all, thanks so much for watching, happy listening, and I will see you.